to the cloud. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody got a contract issue they're dealing with right now that they want to bring up, a question or something? Okay, gave it 8 seconds. Is this Marcia in Missouri or another Marcia? Marcia's still not answering. Oh, well. Okay. I'm going to start with something that's come up just the last 2 days. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, this is the residential listing agreement. And what has happened is we have a listing. It was signed and dated, and let's just say the price was $1 million. And it was signed actually in August, but it's taken a couple of months to get the house ready to show and so forth. And originally the neighbor thought they had, or the owner thought the neighbor was going to make an offer for it at $1,250,000. So the agents, there were 2 agents about, put in a listing price to $1,250,000, but then put in other terms that if a property doesn't sell by the time it goes on MLS, so their listing price shall be $1 million. So the listing price is effectively $1 million. They had an open house yesterday, and the seller got all wiggy, and that's a technical term, and decided that she wanted $1,350,000 for the property and not $1 million. And it was going to, if the agents didn't modify, she said she was bullied into putting it at $1 million, and if the agents don't modify it, then she's going to file a complaint or something. I don't know. So we offered to cancel the listing because we think she's just a little wiggy, and that's what the agents wanted to do. So I said, sure, write her and tell her we're offering to cancel the listing because we, aren't willing to list it at $1,350,000. Well, she says, no, no, I don't want you to cancel the listing. I want you to sell it at $1,350,000. So we're kind of in an impasse, deciding whether to put it, the listing only goes through December 1st or something. And the agents are deciding whether to put it in at the higher price, even though they've had an open house now and it's been on MLS at $1 million. And people have shown interest and said, all the agents who came through the open house said it's a good price, and or to cancel, so they take it and raise the price and have to explain to everybody what happened, or just can't, go follow through with the cancellation. So the only thing I can find in this agreement here is down here under brokers and sellers duties. So the broker agrees to exercise reasonable effort and diligence to achieve the purposes of this agreement. Okay, so that's our affirmative duty to exercise reasonable effort. We're going to present all offers. And down here says seller agrees to consider offers presented by broker and to act in good faith to accomplish the sale of the property. So the seller has a duty to act in good faith. And then this little sentence at the end is interesting. It says seller is responsible for determining at what price to list and sell the property. So that's not our decision to, at what price to list or sell the property. It's the seller's decision. So I'm pretty sure if under the circumstances, if these agents decide just they want to proceed with the cancellation and the seller doesn't agree to it, I'd go to our legal counsel and say, okay, what do we do? But I'm pretty sure we could cancel it and without, legal liability because of what's happened. But it is interesting that it is the seller's responsibility to determine the price to list and sell the property. And we've had circumstances where the listing is, let's say, for $1 million. The seller gets an offer for $1,025,000 and they want $1,075,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens then? Well, it is under here. The buyer, the seller determines at what price to list and sell the property. So they may have listed it at $1 million, but to sell it, they want $1,075,000. Now, that we can't force them to sell it. They have to voluntarily sell it. We may be entitled to compensation because we bought in a ready, willing, and able buyer whose offer to purchase the property on any price terms is accepted by the seller, provided that the buyer completes the transaction. But that's if it's accepted by seller.
Right.
Let's see, there's another little addition here. There's a clause about, buyers after the listing expires, be sure to put a number in there and provide the seller with a written notice to the respective buyers not later than the end of the listing period. Written consent, the buyer. Okay, so if without broker's written consent, the property was withdrawn from sale, conveyed, leased, or otherwise transferred or made unmarketable by a voluntary act of the seller during the listing period. So I guess we could claim that by their not accepting an offer, they've made the property unmarketable. A valid offer that's in terms with the and let's see, if a completion of the sale is prevented by a party to the transaction other than seller, well, that's not what's happening here. Anyway, we very rarely in those circumstances would want to pursue a seller for a commission when there was no transaction. We've had experience where the deal falls through like that, and we go to mediation or arbitration, and the arbitrator says, hey, there was no transaction, you can't be paid. So that's always a possibility, and it's probably the more likely. If we don't create an actual transaction, we probably aren't going to get paid. Now, we have done pursuit of commissions where I remember one in particular where it was a lease, a long-term lease, a commercial lease, and the terms in the commercial lease listing agreement say that if the party who it's leased to extends their listing, then we shall be paid a commission on the extension. And the parties, the owner and the tenant went ahead and extended the listing without telling us. They even went into an agreement to sell. The owner was going to sell to the tenant. And there's also a clause in the commercial contracts or I think the commercial leases that if the tenant buys the property, the agent gets, the broker gets a commission for that sale. So we did pursue that. And we prevailed in that one. But there was a transaction there. It's just really hard to get paid unless there's a transaction.
So I always thought, Gary, and I guess I'm wrong, that there was some kind of protection in the contract if you brought a ready, willing, and able buyer that met all the seller's terms, that we were protected, but I guess we're not, unless
Well,
that seller accepts
you
it.
know, we could make a case for that under certain language that I was referencing in the listing agreement. But to prevail with that in court or arbitration and mediation is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have to prove a lot of bad faith on the part of that owner.
I know, but isn't that owner dealing in bad faith right now by
Yeah.
wanting to make it unsaleable almost?
Well, but her claim is that we bullied her into signing the listing at the lower price. So,
Mhm.
you know, when we
Yeah,
get
you
into
can't
he said,
win.
you get into a he said, she said,
But, yeah.
you're going to lose 50% of the time.
If not more. But of course, those agents have already spent money, on the photography,
Yeah, yeah.
everything that they've done. So
Yep.
it's frustrating.
Yep. It is. But sometimes you run into
Crazy people.
crazy
I get
people,
them all the time.
and it seems, I don't know, it seems in the last month we've had more crazy people than normal. I want to
Can I ask
go
a
over the
quick question?
backup offer addendum. These come into play somewhat frequently. And what we had was we have a large property that went into escrow, and then we had a backup offer. And we used the backup offer addendum to put the second buyer in backup. Well, this first buyer, this is, hundreds of acres of land that required a due diligence and an extended escrow. So I think it went on for 6 months or so before this first buyer kind of threw in the towel and canceled. So we reached out to the backup buyer, and the way the backup offer addendum works, this is an addendum to either the purchase agreement or the counter offer or whatever, and the property and between the parties. And then you could have number 1, 2, 3, there could be multiple counter backups. And this says if seller is unable to provide such written signed cancellation to buyer within, and it, you can put a date here, and we're going to say January 1st, 2022, then either buyer or seller may cancel this agreement in writing.
Mhm.
So there was a date in there that had long expired, but the buyer and seller, neither of them canceled the agreement in writing. So presumably the agreement is still in effect, right? And then there's things about the buyer's deposit and time periods and so forth. So, and here, the second half of this form is the notice of cancellation of prior contracts. The seller hereby provides notice to buyer that all prior contracts have been canceled. Attached here too are copies of the signed cancellation of the prior contracts. So that's what we did. Our agent, had the seller sign this, attach the cancellation of the prior contracts, and sent this off to the buyer. Well, the buyer never responds, right? Just no, acknowledgement, no signing of this form. They kind of disappeared off the face of the earth over these 6 months. So the agent says, well, can I assume then the backup offer is dead? And I'd say, well, that's a bad assumption, because, I've had buyers come back after 3 years elapsed time on a financing contingency, and neither party canceled the escrow that was open during that time. It was during one of those periods where it was really hard to get a loan. But 3 years later, they got the loan and nobody had terminated the contract, and they came back and jumped in and closed on that deal, and they went to court and they prevailed. So if no one cancels it in writing here, then either buyer or seller may cancel this agreement in writing. If nobody cancels it, it kind of remains there as an open-ended thing.
Mm.
So I said, you better get the seller to cancel it in writing. It's because they had that opportunity. Okay, any questions on that?
Yeah.
seller occupancy after close of escrow. So this came up, let's see. The question is 59 days free rent normal in a counteroffer? This is free rent to the seller. We were representing a buyer. What are the rules as far as the seller living there after close of escrow and they get hurt or something? Can they sue the new owner? Well, if there is no normal about, seller wanting to occupy after close of escrow, it's always negotiable, right? So let's see if we got the SOP here. Seller in possession, is that it? SIP, yeah. So if the seller is going to remain in possession after close of escrow, you're going to use this SIP form. Seller to
Right.
remain in possession addendum.
For 29 days or less, though.
That's
Then-
right.
Yeah.
At the very bottom of the form. Or maybe it's here at the top. Yeah. It is short-term occupancy, i.e. 29 days or less.
Mhm.
So this is to be used if it's 29 days or less. If the occupancy is intended to be for 30 days or longer, then you use the residential lease form, the RLAS, release residential lease after sale. So this form is a license. It's not a lease. It's a license for the seller to stay on for up to 29 days. There's consideration in all of those kind of things. There's a seller's obligations for the condition of the property. There's insurance. Sellers in personal property, including vehicles, is not insured by the buyer, and if applicable, not by the owners association, against loss or damage, blah, 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 blah. Seller is advised to carry seller's own insurance to protect seller from such loss and contact its own insurance company to discuss available options. So it's clear here that the buyer won't be responsible for the losses of the seller while they're on the property, and it's the seller's duty to take care of that. So let's look at the RLAS if we have that. After sale, okay, here we are. And so this is intended for possession of 30 days or more. So in this case, of the 59 days, if that's what they end up negotiating, they would use this form. And again, it talks, it looks more like a standard residential lease. Security deposits, utilities, who's going to pay utilities, blah, blah, blah. And again, no assignment or subletting, tenant's obligation upon vacating, insurance. Tenants, guests, invitees, or viewers are not insured by the landlord, blah, blah, blah. Tenant is advised to carry tenant's own insurance, renter's insurance to protect the tenant. So these various things, there's more detail in this insurance clause than there was in that other one. And often the lender will be concerned and start putting limitations on the length of time that a seller could occupy after close of escrow, because they're making the loan as an owner occupied property and not as a rental. So you need to make sure the lender is in conformity with, agreement with all of that. Yeah, Mari, I see your hand up. Where'd you go, Mari? You got to unmute if you're going to ask.
Sorry.
Okay.
So this is the thing where after 29 days on the 30th day, you use the lease form, not the initial shorter one. And the what am I trying to say, that so it's not really good for the seller to be doing that. No, I'm sorry, the buyer to be doing that, because then they could be having to buy at a higher interest rate because it's a rental property? Yeah, okay.
That's potentially true, but I've heard lenders allowing for longer than the 30-day rent
Oh, good
back.
to know.
But you certainly need, the buyer certainly needs to discuss that with the lender and make sure it's going to work.
Yeah, especially on a jumbo loan, that'll cause a huge problem.
Yeah, it certainly could. I've got one more thing to cover and then we'll turn it over to Heather. See what was this? Okay. So we're in a regular residential lease, which sometimes we handle. So let me go back to the forms. And look at the regular residential lease. I may not have that here. Okay, what is the lease form called, folks?
I don't know.
Lease listing agreement, lease rental commission agreement. Oh, here we go. Month to month rental. Lease rental.
I think that residential lease month to month can be a lease too, if I remember correctly, but it's been a long time
Yeah, let me see.
that I've looked at that form.
Right. Okay, go away here. There you go. Let's see if that popped up. Oh, you know what it does? It populates at the very end. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, month to month or lease. Yeah, you got
Or
it.
month, yeah, residential lease or month to month. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the one we were using, and what happened was the tenant was going to just decided they wanted to vacate prior to the end of the term. So the seller was okay with that. They wanted a fee. They wanted a couple months rent to terminate the lease. And apparently the tenant agreed to that. So the question was, what is the paperwork we need to kind of terminate the lease? Well, this paragraph 26 says breach of contract, early termination. In addition to any obligations established in paragraph 25, in the event of temporarily termination by tenant prior to the completion of the original term of the agreement, tenant shall also be responsible for the lost rent, rental commissions, blah, 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 and any such amounts of from the security deposit. So by returning the keys, which they did, and leaving the property, they basically terminated the lease. And they were responsible for all this remaining stuff, but the parties made a separate agreement about that. So we didn't need any additional documentation about this early termination because it was built right into the lease there. So that's, I want to remind you of the legal update next Friday, 9 to 12:30. I hope everyone has that on the calendar. We'll send out the link and the reminder again on Monday. And if I just signed up for my ethics course, November 17th, Norbar is offering a free one. It's a 3-4 hour course. You got to sit through. So if you haven't done your ethics training, it's required by year end, or NAR, National Association of Realtors, terminates your membership until you complete it, and we won't have access to ZipForms or any of the good stuff that's on our CAR and Norbar websites. So make sure you do your ethics training. If you aren't sure, you can check it online on the Norbar website. Right, Heather?
Yeah, you just go right into your profile and it says right below that,
Right.
whether or not you have completed it.
Yeah. And you may have taken an ethics course as part of your license renewal, but that's not the same course. So you have to take a separate one. So go on, if you're uncertain, go on and check and make sure you've got the ethics course behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, Heather, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks. You can also do the Commitment to Excellence program, and that does qualify you for the ethics course. It's a longer program which has a lot of other things as well, but if somebody was inspired to do that before the end of the year, that works as well. I have a question, Gary. I've heard of agents, going back to your first topic of that listing, and they want to, you know, have it for hire. I've heard of folks taking a higher listing, you know, a listing at a higher price than they think is really going to sell so that they can market and things, and then have an agreement with the seller. Well, if it doesn't sell, then you'll pay me back for my marketing costs. Have you heard of that? Or is that something you can put in a listing agreement or?
Yeah. Let's see. We'll look at the residential listing agreement again. And under this, just like the RPA, has this paragraph that
Other terms or something?
other terms, yeah. I don't know exactly where it is on this.
I think it's up.
Yeah, additional terms.
Ah,
So, yeah, if you agree on something, you know, you just put it in here. And you could say seller to reimburse listing agent X number of dollars for marketing fees within 30 days of providing an invoice, or, you know, something along those lines.
Okay.
Remember, I'm not a fan of creative writing. So when you start to create additional terms at all, if they're at all kind of controversial or different or outside the box, just share them with me before you complete it. And we'll get it run by legal and make sure we're on the right track.
okay. Cool, thanks. I've
Yep.
never done that, but I've heard it and I thought that's an interesting idea. Okay, great. Well, I thought I would just take us all into Moxie Impress today. How many of you guys either watched the course or have actually gone in there and done some things?
I've watched it.
Watched it? Okay, great. How about people that are not, if you're just watching and you're not on video, if you could just let me know, I'd love to get an idea of how many people are,
I
kind of where we're
watched the
at.
first one.
You watched? Okay.
The first one. I don't know if I think there's a second, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. So we have access to Moxie Present, which is all presentations and CMAs. And then we have access to Moxie Impress, and that's where we get the whole marketing package for listings.
I tried the oh, sorry, the volume. I did the Moxie Impress, which actually was much. It was not that I didn't think it would be good, but it was much better than I thought it was.
Oh.
It saved
Good.
me a lot of time. Usually when I have a listing or an open house, I'll go onto Canva, and it takes me anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes or so to come up with like a little social media post. But with Moxie, as long as all the details are in the MLS, it just links it all up, and you can just press download and it sends you a little social media post that you can upload and send right out.
Interesting.
Yeah. Cool. So that's exactly what I thought I would show you guys today, because I think that is a really handy, easy way to get your listings, your open houses, price changes. You can put once it's sold, what else? Anything that happens on a listing, you can put in there. You can even access other people's listings. So if you were going to hold an open house for another agent, you can go in there and create that. Haley and the marketing team, they do the wonderful flyers, but there's sometimes when we need, maybe a flyer on the weekend when they're not available, or the social media, I think, is just so quick and easy. It's really nice to access it. So let me pull that up. The first step, of course, is, where's my share screen here? The first step to get into Moxie, if you haven't gone in there, is you just go into Greenhouse and log in. So log in just like usual in Greenhouse. And then up here on the top left, the little search bar, you click and you go into the very first one here, Tools and Resources. And you wait patiently. And just about, I think the third thing down is MoxieWorks. So once you get into Tools and Resources, just scroll down to Marketing and you can click right there on MoxieWorks. What they showed us in the videos, and I'll send those out again if you want to get, if you want to go in and watch a full video on this. It looks a little different when you first access. When you first get into MoxieWorks, it's going to give you this page, and all you have to do is click right here on Present. I'm sorry, we're doing Impress today. Click on Impress. If you want to do a CMA, you just click here. But if not, if you want to do Impress, click right on Impress. The first thing I would do is come over here to your name and click on that and go into your profile just to make sure that all of your information on your profile is accurate. You can add in your Facebook and your LinkedIn and things, so there's more information on any marketing materials you create. If you're not able to update anything in your profile that you want changed, you can check in with the folks at the front desk, or Haley, you can email Haley and let them know, because they have the back end access. So if there's something that for whatever reason it's not allowing you to update, just check in with Michaela or Rachel or Haley and they can get that done for you. So, but once you've got your profile all set, then you can start really taking advantage of Impress. The first thing that happens when you have a new listing is it will automatically create all of these marketing materials for you, and it will send you an email telling you that they are ready, that they're available. Let's see, I just did that this morning. If for some reason, I'm not going to actually look for it because it'll take me a second. But if for some reason you don't get the email and you want to resend it to yourself, you can go into, bear with me, I'm still learning this all myself. It's brand new. But you can go into your listings. So you just click right there on listings. It will show you what you've got currently going on, your current listings. You click on the address. You know, if for some reason it stops showing you the next page here. And you can do a couple of things here. On the right, you'll see resend the latest marketing guide email. So this, if you don't get the email for a certain listing, you can resend it to yourself. And this just comes up and it shows you everything that, puts it into your email, everything that's available. You of course can come over here and just click view projects and get access immediately. But if for some reason you want to resend that email, you can do that. On a current listing, you can go in through listings. There's several different ways you can access things. And right here, you can click on view projects. Projects are what they call each piece of marketing material. Each one is a project, is what they call it. So you can just go and you can see what everything is that they have created. For instance, there's an e-postcard. Just like Parmita, I really love the social media posts, very easy. So if you want to take a look at that, for instance, here is Facebook price improvement. Obviously what they have in here is my actual listing. You just click on the photo and it'll take you to that. And then you can click here on preview to take a look at what it's going to look like. You can see this is a preview only. Okay, great. That looks fantastic. And then you can actually come down to the bottom and just click on publish to web or download image, however you want to do it. If you link your Facebook directly to it, which I haven't completed yet, you can just publish directly from there, or you can just download the image and then post it on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and wherever you want to go. So that's pretty handy. If there's ever a few different things here, let's see where we are on time. Going back to the home page, it shows you what your current listings are. You can also go to projects, and in projects, what they have near the bottom is a file, a folder with each of your current listings, all of the projects that are there. And you can see here, this shows you the projects that were created automatically. This one, I went in and created 5 projects for this one. Let me show you how to do that. So if you want to right now go and maybe you want to post a listing for do a social media post for something that already closed, you can go back to listings, and then you go, this is what I did with this one. This one is already closed. So you click on it. And you right here, you can either create a single project, or you can create a marketing kit. So for instance, this one I did create marketing kit, and it just did 5 automatic marketing pieces with the just sold on it. So that is pretty handy. A lot of what they do is very automated. You can also go into designs in specific and say that you want to create something else that's not been automatically done. And you can also go into the contacts here. Once we get Moxie Engage, all of your CRM contacts will be here. So if you want to email out a flyer or something directly to people in your sphere of influence, you'll be able to access that. Now, if you are going to go and, let me make sure I remember how to do this. Oh yeah. If you are going to do an open house or something for another agent and you need to access their listings, then you just come over, you go into listings, and you click here on the left on view shared listings. You can also go in and put in a MLS or an address here to find it specifically, quickly, and easily. So like, for instance, if I wanted to look at who has a list of Parmita, what's one of your listings? I can put the address in. Hope I can't hear you. Does anybody else have a listing? I don't know if she knows I said anything. Hey, Parmita, what's one of your, she's like, what? Someone's talking to me. What's the address of one of your listings so I can show it as an example? Your current ones.
Any listing?
Yeah, just something you've got current.
2013 Stonefield.
Oh yeah, Stonefield. All right. So, oh no, I'm sorry. This is my listings. So you have to go over to shared listings first.
Oh.
So on the left, I can view shared listings, and then I put in her listing. Say I'm going to do an open house for her. I can pull up her listing and pop in, and then I can create a project. Let's see if it gives me access to the already created projects. Nope, because that's not in my listings. So if I want to create a project, so say I want to make that social media post because I'm going to do an open house for Parmita, then you can click on most popular, and then those open houses come up, or the most popular options come up. Right here is Facebook open house. And so I can grab that, view the sample. Okay, great. That is not her listing though. Interesting. That did not work. Okay, well, like I said, I am still learning. This should work just fine. I guess I'm missing a piece. Anybody know what I missed?
Did you call up? That's looks like the sample.
This is the
How do
sample,
you
yeah.
how do you populate it with her listing?
Usually when you do create project, it does that automatically. And of course, I can't get to the back. Let me see if I can go. All right, give me a second here to pop over. Let's go back to that. Oh, I see maybe what I need to do. Let me share that again. It's definitely one of those things you got to do it a lot to remember all the steps. Okay, that was just the sample of what the design looks like. So here you would go click design, select this design on the bottom, and then it creates that for you. Let's see. All right, I'm going to try this out, save. And it makes sure that, yes, I'm okay to use someone else's listing. Obviously, you're only going to be doing this when you are doing something for another agent. They know. Obviously, you're not going to go in and be doing anything on your own.
So for everyone's homework, if you want to share Stovefield on your social media, go ahead.
Perfect, right? All right, so you have to have a project name. Since this is yours, not the actual listing agent's, but it's pretty handy. It's adding 43 images. It says, I don't know why it would add 43 images to a social media post, but anywho, this is a really great point that I want to show you guys. All of the photos that are in Moxie Impress are ones taken from, it populates it from the MLS. So it's often your small photos, you know, with the MLS resolution. So if you're going to actually use any of these to print, you probably want to go into the product and add better, higher resolution photos. So if you're going to do a brochure or something that you're going to actually have printed up, you want to probably add your better, higher resolution photos before you do that. So just to give you an idea, and I can show you guys how to do that, although, yeah, we're still doing pretty good on time. Okay, so let's see. See, this is telling me here that even the photo that came up on here for some reason, even though it's a social media one, I'm not sure why, but it says that it's not a great copy of it. So in this case, you can update everything because you're creating this yourself. It's really nice to just use the what they send over and create for you automatically. So, I mean, best case scenario, it's probably easier just to have Parmita share it with you. But this is a really good, like I said, sometimes you've got to do something and someone's not available to help you, give you the, you know, what you need. So it's really nice to be able to do this. Let me just show you guys one last thing, which is if you need to add in better photos.
Can we see the sample you did?
Oh, sorry. I popped back through it. I didn't finish filling it out because it just takes a little bit to add in all the details.
All right.
Yeah.
So it said the same thing to me about the photo quality when I did mine, but when I downloaded it and then opened it up to double check, it was fine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. I don't know why. So let me just go. If you do have, I think, you know, Parmita, like, I think that as long as you're doing the social media posts and things, the quality is going to be fine. It's only when you're going to go print something and you want a really high quality image on it. So if you need to do that or you want to do that, let's see, let me find. Okay. So here is my listing that I have currently, which is closing next week. Here is a brochure. And let's see. You can click right here on edit. So any of these, if you do want to changes, you can just go in and edit. And then this is also where Now I did this earlier and there was a place to change the photos and now I'm not seeing it, of course. All right, I must have come in it backwards. Anyways, I don't see it. View layout. Oh, this is just the layout. No. All right, preview photos. Oh, I must need to be on the photo page. There we go. So you just click into photos and then over here on the right, you can add in any better, higher resolution photos you want to. And that is what you should do if you're going to print something and you want really nice quality photos on it. Right here on the right is where you add in photos.
So you would take those photos, you know, from your computer and put them in, they're not already there?
Yeah, Moxie Impress is taking what's on the MLS. So it's whatever is on the MLS, which tends to, I mean, most of my photographers, you know, they're giving us the web version, which is smaller, so they load more quickly. And then they're also doing the print version. So if you want to add in just the higher quality, then that's how you would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, for a lot of your stuff, if you're doing it, if you know, if you're sending out a flyer through email or something, you don't need to add in a higher resolution photo. It's only if you want a really nice quality when you're printing.
Okay.
There was one more thing I wanted to tell you guys about, but that might be it. I can't think of it right now. So I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions? I know Parmiti's using it. Anybody else have used it yet and trying it out?
No, don't have a listing yet.
Ah,
So it looks very great with all the automation and the stuff that's coming along there. Let's see. Daniel says, I've found Engage to be extremely helpful in the past. Do we have an idea of when that will be added to our MoxieWorks platform?
yes. So originally they told us end of October or November, early November. And when I asked, 2 days ago, they said it's looking like December now, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess that, so what's happening is, you know, with Zap, we had Lead Router where we were getting leads through the website. They're letting go of Lead Router and they're getting something new, which is called Lead Engine, which is going to link up with the Moxie Engage. And so those are both, I think they're still working on getting them linked. And so those will come out at the same time. Hopefully, I'm hoping early December. You can go in here and start adding some contacts, which will then link up with Engage if you're feeling like, you know, if you're feeling like you have some people you want to start putting in there and sending things to. Otherwise, we're looking at December.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Heather. Heather's going to be publishing an education calendar for the month of November, right?
Yes.
In the next day or two. And any questions before we sign off for the day?
No. Just a reminder, heads up on Monday. I'm going to be in the Sonoma office for an hour and a half or so, going over more on Moxie, and mostly just if you want to come with your computers and let's all just start playing with it, you know, start doing things and working together. I'll then be in the Santa Rosa office and I'll be up in Lake County. So if you want, you know, to sit down and just really work on it and start figuring it out with my help. And then I think Michaela's going to be there as well to really help you get everything set up. Then I'll see you on Monday.
What time,
is
Heather?
that, Heather?
Let me look at my calendar. I think it's at 1. Let me see. Yes, 1 p.m. I'll be there at 1 p.m.
And that's in Sonoma this time.
It's in Sonoma on Monday, and we'll be going over both Impress and Present and just
Great.
getting it all dialed in.
Great. Very good. Okay, so we'll see some of you on Monday, and catch you all here next Friday for legal update at 9:30. Okay. Everybody have a safe and happy weekend. Go do some business. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you, Jerry.
Bye.
Have a good
Thank you, Heather.